story. I tell everybody that I talk to, I've told Donna before, I said, y'all lying to me about Kathy Ross. I'm just telling you, it ain't the truth. I can't believe it. And then one day, Donna and I had a chance to talk in the office for, I don't know, an hour or so, and it's just overwhelming what you guys went through and what led up to that demise of somebody that, like you said, every now and then, you're going down the road and that just that one wheel gets off in that gravel. You can't get the damn thing back up in the road.
Yep.
And that's kind of what happened to your sister and your aunt. So let the people at home that watch this, how did it start? When did you notice? What was the whole thing?
Well, growing up, and this is the funny thing, and Kat and I always joke, I'm like, if you'd have known us back in the day, you would have thought I would be the one that was sitting in Kat's seat and the roles would be reversed. Because Kathy and Mike, they were high school sweethearts, married right out of high school. Kat had a good job, went to school, she was a nurse, had Austin, like everything in the order you're supposed to. Meanwhile, I'm back here not doing everything I was supposed to do.
Right.
But then Kat, she got sick, she was having some female issues. And I think Mike and I noticed it a little bit before anyone else did. We noticed some changes. There were some things that, things would just come up missing. Anything from a weed eater to anything in the garage and stuff like that. Or she would tell Mike she was somewhere and she wouldn't be there, or she would tell me she was with Mike. And so we were catching her up in things.
Stories didn't always match up.
Stories didn't always add up. So then we realized, okay, something's going on. So then we started questioning her, and that's when we kind of realized, like, okay, this is worse than what we thought. Like, she's got a real issue. We would hear the rumors, and I'm like, oh no. And that's back when Topics was the big thing.
Oh yeah, I had a topic.
yeah.
I had a whole Topics page.
When I found my
remember
sister's
that,
name on the Topics, I about
There was
lost
a
my
problem.
mind.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So, I'm on there reporting it, trying to make her out. So I'm like, she's not this person. Like, I was in denial. I was that family member that was like, this is not happening to us. Like, Mike and I, we try to talk ourselves out of it. I'm like, this can't be. It's not Kat. So we were the ones, and at first, when she first got caught, I'll never forget. My husband and I were sitting in the living room, and it was like midnight. My phone's ringing, and I answered it. It was the Lawrence County Jail with a collect call from Kathy Ross. I was like, my heart sunk.
Gut punch, as Kathy
Oh my
says.
gosh, it was a gut punch.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of when we learned, like, all of this stuff. Like, she was like a
Busy.
she was very busy.
It was like hell on wheels at that point.
It
wasn't
was.
Yes.
And it's so embarrassing at that point, too, because, like, you just don't want to come to terms with the fact that your family is now about to engage in a tormental hell they never signed up for.
Yeah.
And I was there for
And
all
you're
of it.
responsible.
And I'm responsible and didn't even care at that point. And I think that's what's bad is after, when you sit back and you get sober and you go to treatment, and then you have to go back and look at these things, and you're like, oh my gosh, they didn't even ask for any of this. Donna almost lost her job because they thought we were the same person, and they wanted to know why somebody on drugs could have the job she had at the time, and it was me. I was in prison. Donna had nothing to do with it.
Me, it's her.
It was terrible.
Well, you're talking about prison now, so we don't have to get into all the in-depth details and all that. But what was life like for y'all's family? Mike, Austin,
It was
everybody.
hard. I mean, it was. I mean, like I said,
Mom and Dad.
Oh, it was horrible because my dad's a fixer, and he couldn't fix anything. There was no fixing this. I was going to prison, and he was distraught. They thought they did things wrong. They didn't. At that point, I blamed everybody but myself because I wasn't ready to take accountability.
Yeah.
And it was just, I'll never forget, I was supposed to get a visit in prison, hadn't been there very long, and it was the first time I was going to see these kids since I had been sentenced to prison. And I didn't know what I was going to say because by this time I'd had some time to sit and think, reflect, and I was like, it's Thanksgiving. Like, this is what we do. How was things ever going to be normal again in my family? Are they going to be scared? Then I didn't want them to bring the kids. Do not bring the kids here. I do not want to put them through this. Do not. And then you would call home, and they would break their necks to get on the phone just to talk to you for 2 or 3 minutes. And then you're thinking, why wasn't it that important then? Why was it not that important? Because I don't love them any less or any more right now than I did, but it just wasn't important.
What was it like when you hung the phone up?
I cried every day, all day, because I just once you start understanding addiction and you drink the juice, you're in recovery. You're just like, how did you become that person? And I'm like, how did that happen chemically in my brain? Why was she not addicted? Why was I?
Right.
And then I'm thinking, like, how in the world did this not mean anything to me? How did it not? And I just remember calling, and Taylor had been given an assignment in school. And at the time, we don't talk about these things. Austin, he doesn't know what to do. He's just at home with his dad, and they're just lost. I didn't take the time to explain anything to them. I don't think Donna and Mike did either, because we didn't know what to say. So it was just a learned process for all of us, and how to deal with it. But I think we didn't even realize that we put ourselves through therapy that way, and then we would start asking questions. And they didn't want to hurt my feelings. I would get little questions. And still sometimes the kids, like I'll catch him, I was telling you about Nick earlier, he'll say, hey, Aunt Kat, can I ask you a question? And it's going to be something from 15 years ago. And then I'll answer it, and then Taylor's asked questions before, and then when you're not there for some special things, it's just, it's a whole other level of guilt. But I feel like that our family has talked about it. We've processed it. I mean, we've talked it to death, but we had to, because I wanted them to know that I never loved them any less, and that I have no idea how I allowed it to get there, and they did nothing wrong. The kids, Donna, nobody did anything wrong. It was my actions, and that sucks in and of itself. So
pretty much all on you at that point.
Oh, it was, and then I'm the one that did it, and I could have stood. The only thing I had to do is stand up and ask for help. The only thing that I had to do was stand up and ask for help, and I wouldn't do it.
Could have changed it all.
Changed my whole life, and I couldn't do it.
Well, and she did have, when she was initially caught, she was on a GPS ankle monitor for like 6 months.
Going back and forth.
Yeah, and that, she still didn't learn from that.
No.
So after that is when she went to prison.
Mm-hmm.
And even at that point, like we were talking about our parents and all of us, we were those people that are like, we can fix her. She don't need to go to prison.
Yeah. She's not smoking crack. She's not on the needle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then, like she said, like kind of going through therapy through her tapestry program and the time that she's been in prison, like we learned, like, no, you have to do these things. Like we would sit after every court hearing and cry because we knew she wasn't coming home for 2 more years or 3 more years or whatever it was going to be. But now I'm like, that saved her life.
Oh,
like
I was
much
going to ask.
rather.
Yeah, I was going to say, what would have happened had you not went to prison?
She'd have died.
I would have died. It was to the point too, because they were trying to catch me when I was in the treatment facility. Because I ran, instead of turning myself in again, I didn't feel like I should have to. I'll never forget Mom telling me. She told me this a couple years ago, and it destroyed her soul. The detectives wanted Mom to set me up to go to a gas station so they could arrest me, and Mom said, I almost had to do that, Kathy. I almost had.
Saved your life.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the toughest love.
Oh, that was, and I don't know. I was like, how does a parent do that? Because I don't know how I could do it for Austin, but I'd have to, because that if they don't, the road they're on, it's not going to end well.
I've always said I couldn't do it until I've been subjected to all this, and I think maybe I'd have to find a way to do it. I won't say any names, but I have someone I'm very close to that their son was out on the street, starving to death, didn't have no food, nowhere to sleep, and the mother just had to say, figure it out. Sorry, if you die, you die.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the toughest kind of love for a
is.
parent to ever have to go through. Jesus.
At some point you have to. And here's what scares me for a lot of families is, there were times, so Kat would pin us against each other. So she would try to make Mike mad at us, speaking like me, Mom, and Dad, or us mad at Mike, so that we didn't all get together and talk. So there were times that she would come and stay at my house because Mike was being mean to her or whatever, when in fact she was just trying to play both sides of the fence. Well, she would come in and she would she would stay in Taylor's bedroom at the time, and she would go in and she'd be eating or something, and I'd walk in there and the plate would be on the floor and she would be out. Me being uneducated, not having any experience with addiction, she could have overdosed and died. So that's what worries me about other people is, you think, and she never did heroin with a needle, nothing like that. But what she took was the depressants that could make her stop breathing, and I didn't know. I lost my best friend to an overdose. I'm like, I just wish I would have known then, because there's probably times that she probably should have received Narcan and didn't because I didn't even know. So that's, it's very important that people realize that.
That's why, education.
Oh,
I mean, if
it
you've
is.
got an inkling of any idea that somebody's doing it, if anybody, you think, oh, it's not that bad, that will let somebody die.
I'll never forget coming home from prison, though, the kids. I've been so fortunate with these kids. Like, they are the best kids ever. And they never got mad at me. And I've been waiting for that to happen. And they would have questions. And then I want Taylor to share. So this is, some kids really didn't have to go through what these kids had to go through. But will you read the poem that you wrote? Was you in the 5th grade?
I think it was the 8th grade.
Was it 8th grade?
Do I have to sit through this?
I thought it was
Yeah.
6th or 7th.
Okay. So
Anyway, it was something like that, and this is at the time whenever I'm getting sentenced to prison, and Taylor she goes to Coal Grove, and this teacher gives them this thing to do, and it just destroyed my soul.
It says, the instructor said, go home and write a page tonight, and let that page come out of you. Then it will be true. I wonder if it's that simple. Nothing hurts more than watching someone you love a drug more than you. One of the women I imagined holding the stars could only hold prescription bottles in her hand. Some children grew up anticipating trips to Disney World, and I anticipated the monthly trips 2.5 hours away. Children around me would go home every night looking forward to the never-ending phone calls from their friends, while I went home anxiously waiting for the phone to ring, only to try to get everything that's happened that whole week into 8 minutes. We often joke about going to prison with our friends, but me, I've been there. I've seen what people and families can go through all because of such a small word, drugs. My best friends, my aunts, my uncles were all torn apart, and although she is much better and she does amazing things now, my heart still breaks when the memory of my cousin comes back, of him looking up at me and asking, is my mommy coming home tonight, Tay? I've never read that in front of her.
How old were you when you wrote that?
I think it was 5th grade.
I can't
I
remember.
was little.
He was
Yeah,
little.
it was little because when it was an assignment. It was like English class
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, we had to read it. Like, me and
And she
Austin
read it
never
out loud
really...
in class.
In class,
We
you had to
weren't
read.
ever really... I think we're so involved, we never really got mad because we didn't really have a choice. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
It
we
is what
went
it is
every
at that
weekend.
point,
Like,
right?
we were not ashamed of it. Like, we went to school telling our friends. Like,
They did, and
we
they
don't
would
care.
they would go to school. They did.
Yeah,
They
that's prison.
I know.
Good place,
I know. It's like
Yeah.
they had to, and then you feel that guilt too, about, because you don't ever want your kids to have to live that life and meet people and do those things. Well, I'm gonna say that you guys probably spent, once I come home from prison, you guys spent more time with convicted felons and drug addicts than you did anybody, because that's all they knew. Because that became my support group, and I run head first right into the recovery. I mean, that's whatever I could do. Every event, I tagged my whole family along, so they didn't know the difference. And so that was like pretty amazing for us. But then when you look back at it, I mean, they're very diverse kids.
I remember...
They are, and you know, just the amount of education that we've experienced. Like, we have learned so much in the last 10 years. Like, and you know, it's crazy. They're like, you know, everything happens for a reason. God's work in mysterious ways. Like,
All the
it
analogies,
had to.
yeah.
We had to. Our
Yeah.
life had to go the way it went,
Yeah.
so that she could do what she does, so that we can help other people as well.
I was going to say, I'm glad you said that, because I'm going to ask you a tough question.
Mhm.
So, and I can ask these two. If I can get it out. It's almost like, you know, I want to ask you, would you do it all again?
Mhm.
The same way. Would you go to prison? Would you put this young girl through the hell you put her through? Sister, mom and dad, who are great, young man over there, Mike, Austin. Would you put them through that again? The hell they went through, knowing that on the other side, you were going to save the lives of thousands of people that had to suffer what you going through what you went through, and this family going through what they went through from you. I got a feeling if I asked Donna or Mike, would they let you do that again in order to come out on this side and see the damn people and the lives and the families that you're keeping from going through what you put these people through? Would you do it again?
In a heartbeat. And only because I have such faith
Yeah.
in good human beings. And I have such faith in the fact that we do recover. It's possible. And the only reason I can do it is because people took the time to learn how to hold me accountable and what to do. I've had the opportunity to tell these kids I'm sorry in so many financial ways, and they don't even care about that. They go back to whenever I come home from prison, they wanted me to, and I'll never forget it, like they wanted me to be where they were. Wherever I was, they wanted to be with me, and that's never ended. And they're adults now, and they would rather go with us on a family vacation than they would go with anybody, and they're adults, so they don't even have to spend time with us. It's been an adventure, and it's been hard, but I'm just telling you, it's been one thing that I would never wish on my worst enemy. I would never wish that any other family had to go through this, but if they did, just please remember that they can recover. if you love them enough.
Yeah.
And if they have the resources, it is possible. But you have to be big enough to say that I'm sorry's. And I still, until this day, my dad will still show up where I'm at working. And where you at? What are you doing? What car are you driving? Who's in your car? I seen you in Huntington yesterday. And I don't get mad about that.
Hey, listen.
I don't.
You
And
brought that on yourself. I
they
guess
do.
you
And
could
these
say.
kids do
Yeah.
the same thing all the time with me.
Right.
What are you doing, Cat? What are you drinking? Where you been? Who you with?
If I can't get a hold of you, I'm like, Mom, I can't.
I know they're like they're
ATV
looking
out,
for me.
yeah.
They are. They're like, hey,
Yeah.
where's she at? I'm like, damn, guys, it's been 15 years. Like, cut somebody some slack.
I had a reporter ask me several years ago and said, if you had to live your life over again, would you do anything different, with all the abuse and all that? And I said, no, man, it was a bitch. It was hard. It was
Yes.
miserable. It was it was the hardest thing, of course, for me that I'd ever, been through in my life. And then as I got older, if I hadn't have went through that, if I hadn't known what it was like to go through the torture and the hell and the drug addiction and all that, then I wouldn't be able to maybe offer some dude some help along the way to say, look, I get it. I've always said, people say, oh, you got to have a bachelor's degree before you can run this company. You got a master's degree. Unless you've lived it, man, you'll never convince me in a million years. And no offense to anybody, this sweet girl right here has got probably more degrees. I can't even have a conversation with
I know,
her.
she's got all the letters,
Yeah,
too.
she's on a whole other level, so I don't even talk to her when she walks down the hall. But I just, you'll never convince me that unless you have been in there and you've fought it and you watch people suffer, you've suffered yourself, that you can ever actually relate to the addict.
I'm glad you said that, because there's so many times like people come to me like, okay, what do I do now? And I'm like, yes, I have these degrees. I went back to school because of our family issues. But I'll say, go talk to Dottie, go talk to Kat. They're the experts. Like, I can tell you what the book says. They're going to tell you what real life
You
says.
balance the checkbook.
That's exactly
For
right.
sure.
But going back and kind of piggyback on what Kat said, like if someone would have told us, and I'll probably speak for Mike right here too, in 2008 and 2009 that we would have been able to do what we do today. If you would have told us, Donna, in 15 years, you guys are going to
Open an agency.
open this behavioral health agency where you're not only treating, adults with substance use disorder, but now you're also dealing with their mental health as well as their kids and their families, I would have said you're crazy. Like, no, that's not what we do. But that probably be the only thing I would change is that if somebody could just whisper in my ear, like, it'll be okay, like,
I'll
you're
let you
gonna
know
learn.
that.
You're
In 10 years from now, you're going to be doing
it's
what
gonna
you're
be
doing.
okay. Your sister's going to live.
That's
like, you guys are
impossible. You can't see that
you
part.
can't.
No, hell
But I
no,
would
that's
never
impossible.
have known that. But yeah,
I just don't think that, and I don't think that it's led some of the younger kids in our family into directions that they would have never gone before. Like Taylor, like she always wanted to work with babies in a pediatric unit, and then she changed everything to work with people and to specialize in mental health, to be a nurse practitioner, to specialize in psychiatric issues. Austin, he wanted to do a trade for a while, then he wanted to be a nurse, and then he gets out of nursing school and he's like, well, I don't really feel that. I think I want to be a therapist. So then he goes to college to get a degree in therapy, and so the other kids in the family too. It is, it's just amazing to me. Like I said, the gift of recovery is amazing. But taking the time to listen to the kids and getting to talk to them and then getting honest with them. I remember sitting in prison explaining to Taylor and Austin why I was in prison, because they did not know. We didn't take the...
somebody at first.
Yeah, they thought I killed somebody or took somebody's medicine and they died, because that's why people go to prison. So I remember sitting down and breaking it down for them. And I just remember them asking me questions, little questions. And it was sad. They would want to stand beside me in the line in the prison hall to get something to eat and drink, just so they could stand beside of me. And you go back to your dorm and you're sitting there and you're like, that's amazing. That's on a Saturday. They should be having friends and going and doing things, but yet they're coming to Marysville to see me because they have faith that their aunt can do this.
And you did.
And I did. Oh, I promised I wouldn't let them down. I said, if they would love me long enough to get me through this, then I would make them proud.
Yeah, because you shouldn't, it's easier said than done, but you shouldn't love unconditional. Nobody should, in marriage, addiction, or anything,
Right.
it comes with condition, because
It
we're all
does.
flawed human beings, we all suffer. I get irritated when somebody talks about addicts and, well, they shouldn't have done it to start with, all the while they're gambling their kids' life savings away, or
Yeah, whatever.
they justify their,
Yeah.
but they won't allow us to justify ours, and but in closing, you were saying all that about Austin. The one thing that stood out to me there was, how do you end up a Pittsburgh Steeler fan?
I don't know. We don't even watch
I'm
sports.
gonna talk to him.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
sitting over there. I'm gonna have to have a talk with him.
He needs it. He needs a good talking to.
Again, you know, like you said, Donna, you know, you would have never dreamed. How long ago was it when you got out of prison? When you went in? When
I
you
went in 2009, and then I come home in 2012.
Okay, so that's almost what? How many years? That 13?
Yeah.
You could have never imagined
Oh no, I
walking
never.
when you finally got the hey, you're out of here. Could have never imagined.
We ran, please no. That
We
day
did.
we got, and then we were late. Remember, I was like,
Yes.
they're not gonna let her out. We're still sitting here hours later.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, what's
And then she got in the car and I'm like, take off, go, go.
know.
But it was, and then first place we went was
She went to McDonald's.
McDonald's, it
She
was.
went to McDonald's French
How many
fries.
clients, real quick, how many clients you think you've seen since y'all have opened when you started? Just guess.
Well,
you probably know.
well, I know how many we saw in this far in 2024 is we've had 1,500 successful
1,500.
completions in 2024 so far.
All right, let's just break
So
that down.
times 5, so we're looking at about
750,000? No, seven. No.
about 8,000.
Shut up, Taylor.
Yeah,
She's over there
no.
fixing to
She
look at my
knows
plate, fixing to cuss
she
her
knows it
out.
all. I know.
Believe
I love
it.
it.
It's funny, you know, you talk to people, my husband recently come on board, well, a year or so ago, but he couldn't imagine, he was like, what do you do all day? And I tell him, and he would come in, now that he's here, he's like, I can't believe the number of people that come through that door. And I'm like, I know, there's that many people in our community that need help.
And all of them's from this community.
All
That's
of them are
crazy.
from this
They're
community.
just
We're
here.
happy
Yeah,
about it. You know, we wish we
no.
could shut it down.
Every-
you know, and
every
go
day.
do something else.
But we're very fortunate that we have this, because in 2008, 2009, we did not.
There were two agencies.
There were two agencies. And you didn't talk about it. Like, you didn't know that this help was out there. So now I'm like, you know what? Like, we had the young lady that's doing the Hoops for Hope. She come in and we were like, look, there's another one down the road. Go hit them up, let them know, you know, just because there's several providers now. There's help out there.
Just like that young lady you did a few
Yeah.
weeks ago or whatever. I mean, she comes in here, she's a high school student, and she's putting her foot down going, look, I want to help.
Yeah.
I want to get involved. I want to
Yeah.
pull a little basketball team together and let people come and play and maybe, because I didn't like seeing my family drunk, alcoholics or whatever.
Yeah.
Man, that's just amazing.
It is.
And let's shut it down because
Okay.
we don't want to wear people out. But
Yeah.
man, I'm glad to be around it. I'm proud to be a part of it, and you know, I don't know what to say to you, except thank you. Thank you from myself for the other thousands, because you know it takes you. It takes one of you to make many of us.
It does.
You know, and you've saved a lot of lives, chick.
We had, and I'll close too.
No,
real quick.
that's
We
good.
had a parent came in today and met with us in the office, and she and I share an office, so I got to get to listen to it. And she said, "You come highly recommended." She was like, "Everybody I've called said you need to call Kathy Ross." And that's what I tell her. I'm like, we are that proud of you. Like, I love telling people I'm Kat's sister. Like,
Yeah.
and you, it's a joke around
Oh, I
here.
throw
It's
the
like,
name around
no
when I
one
need
knows
something,
my
I'm
name,
gonna
but
tell
they're
you.
like, oh, that's Castle's sister. Castle's sister. I'm like, yeah, just call me Junior, because that's what I am. I've been that since high school. But yeah, so when I heard her say that, I just had to smile. And I walked in and had another little girl that left a note on the door. She hasn't even said it yet. And I'm like, I'm just going to pretend my name's on there too, like Kat and Donna.
Oh, you should.
But, yeah, no, I'm kidding.
When
But
I was
no,
getting-
it's when I said when I heard her say that, I'm like, you know what, that's true. Like, I love hearing that. I love, you know, anybody will say, you know, let's call and see what Kat thinks, and I just think that's really good. That just shows that the power that she's, you know, I don't know, that what the work she's put into recovery in Lawrence County
Oh,
in our
that's insane.
in our neighborhood. So I'm very proud of it.
When
Very
I was
proud of
getting
her.
ready to go making my rounds, when I left over at Recovery Point, and I was talking to some higher ups down at the courthouse. Don't need to say no names or nothing, but I had called a guy down there and I said, hey, I'm thinking about, what do you know about these people, and thinking about going over here, and they want me to come, and I went and spent half a day with them, and this was before I met y'all. And before I could get the conversation out of my mouth, he just said, no, I got you hooked up. Just hang right here. That's who you need to talk to. And then I proceeded for 2 months to try to call that girl over there. And then I thought, well, she hates my guts. I don't know what I'll do, but no, you.
I
you
told
got a
Mike, I said, I
godsend.
think Cleo's teacher thinks I ghosted him, and I didn't. I was like, oh my God.
I called the guy
It's
back
terrible.
before. I said, look, I guess I'm out down there
Yeah.
at LCR. I can't get a call back.
That was
But,
great.
All right, thank you
All right,
so
thank
much.
you.
Thank y'all,
Yes.
Taylor. Awesome.
Yes.
Came in. I'm gonna have to go talk to him.
Get him.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Save him.
Go out
Thanks.
Call us if you need us.